I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. The board invites the audience to join the board and administration in a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We just have a few minutes. We ask that you put your cell phone on silence or turn it off. Board meetings are broadcasted live over Comcast Channel 28 and Verizon Fios Channel 32 and are live streamed on our district website as well as recorded for future broadcasting. At this time, we are closing public comment. So the public comment cards that I have will be the ones that the community gets to speak. So at this time, public comment is closed. At this time, I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's my pleasure to extend our sincere gratitude to our neighbors at Brown's Family ShopRite for their donation of 55 cases of hand sanitizer to help our school community and families. You probably are aware Brown's and other businesses and partners throughout Bensalem have been very, very thoughtful and generous, not only throughout the pandemic, but often and always in the interest of helping our kids and families. So they're not here tonight. We do have a certificate to pass along to them. So thank you, Brown's Family ShopRite. I also want to take a moment to thank our 2020-21 school volunteers. They are 152 strong. They represent our parent-teacher groups. They represent our High School Athletic Association, our Bensalem Education Foundation, our Just for the Kids Foundation, and that's just a sample of the organizations in the group that spend an incredible amount of time, effort, and yes, resources, including money, to support our kids and district activities. So 152 names here. Remarkable, especially in a year that compromised a lot of our programs and platforms through COVID. So thank you very much. We can't do this work without you. We appreciate all you do for our students and community. That's the recognition for this evening. Madam President, would you like me to go into my report?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Let me just first say how excited we are here about Monday. 5-day in-person instruction for the first time since March 2020. I think I speak for all of my colleagues and all of my partners here in Bensalem. We can't wait for Monday. How about you guys? However, there's some business to attend to before Monday. On August 11, 2021, the Bensalem Township School District approved our required health and safety plan for the 2021-22 school year. The plan was developed in collaboration with our fellow Bucks County districts, career technical schools, the Bucks County Intermediate Unit, and with support and guidance from the Bucks County Department of Health, Center for Disease Controls, and the Pennsylvania Department of Health. On August 15th and August 17th, And just as recently as Monday, August 23rd, the Bucks County Department of Health updated their guidance to more consistently align with the CDC guidance due to county transmission rate moving from substantial to high, and a recommendation from regional hospitals due to concerns about pediatric COVID cases putting additional stress on the hospital system. The pediatric specialty hospitals in our region, none located in Bucks County, are already operating at close to capacity due to non-COVID illnesses and staffing shortages. The plan revisions presented for consideration this evening are predicated on this most recent series of guidance, and there are some differences. I included some newspaper clippings and media recounts of the most recent changes. This isn't different. We're planning for a traditional school year to begin at the end of August, Monday. We talked about it. You guys are excited about it. So are we. We will identify and support academic gaps in student learning, support the health and well-being of our students and staff as they return to in-person instruction, some for the first time in 18 months. We will properly sanitize and utilize screening protocols at our facilities. We will follow physical distancing and PPE guidelines as determined by the CDC, Bucks Department of Health, and Bucks County Department of Health. Again, our learning format, same as the plan presented and approved on August 11th, is 5-day in-person instruction. What we know works, what we absolutely know is best for children, and what we absolutely know makes us most happy. Is that fair to say? Ladies, there is a remote learning option offered through the Ben Salem Cyber Academy, and Maria Bray, one of our coordinators, can be contacted if there's interest. And our presentation of instruction will be traditional. Extracurricular activities and sports all return in person. All students are expected to attend class with typical attendance procedures followed. Transportation routes will be developed to full capacity, but masks will be required on the runs. All students receive breakfast and lunch at no charge. This is what's different, this recommendation from the last plan. Universal indoor masking for all teachers, staff, and students and visitors, regardless of vaccination status. Physical distancing 3 feet to the greatest extent feasible with layered protection. We recommend that we follow the CDC, PA Department of Health, and Bucks County Department of Health recommendations. IEPs and other meetings will be held in person or remote according to parent-guardian preference. We will increase student supports, including MTSS, counseling service, and credit recovery programs. Our air ionizers, purification systems will remain in all schools and buildings to combat possible COVID, cold, flu, and other viruses. This is also different from the last plan presented and approved on August 11th. Bucks County Department of Health has now said they will reinstitute contact tracing requirements. Contact tracing, as you may remember, even if you were in-person instruction, resulted in exclusion from in-person instruction for many of our students throughout last year. If you were a close contact to a COVID positive case, and you are not, if you are next to a COVID positive case, inside 3 to 6 feet, and you are not masked, you will be considered a close contact, which will mean you will be excluded from in-person instruction for at least 10 days. This is guidance that was shared down from Pennsylvania Department of Health to Bucks Department of Health and is now included in our health and safety plan recommendation. Again, if our students are masked and there's a COVID positive identified in an instructional setting, they are not considered a close contact.
All right, we're going to need you to be quiet during the presentation. You'll have plenty of time for public comment.
Classrooms will be notified of positive cases as we become aware. We will continue to supply hand sanitizer and clean all our buildings. Visitors are welcome, but masks will be required. August 30th, we talked about. We're looking forward to it. The 31st is also a big day. A number of our students come back in the transitional grades. And September 1st, all students are scheduled to report. We look forward to a successful school year. That's all I have for you this evening, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? At this time, we'll move into public comment. There is only one public comment tonight. Any Bensalem community member who wishes to speak must sign up in person here at the administration building prior to the start of the board meeting. When it is their turn to speak, they will approach the microphone, state their name and address for the record, and make their comment. They will have 3 minutes to speak. When the 3 minutes are up, the microphone shuts off, and I believe we're going to have a counter behind us so you know where you're at with your 3 minutes. When the last registered person speaks, public comment will end for that meeting. Anyone who shows up late will have to wait until the next board meeting. Michelle Woodling.
Michelle Woodling, 5111 Judson Drive. Good evening, board members. I was relieved to read the proposed updates to the health and safety plan yesterday. Last year, this board worked hard to ensure the safety of Bensalem students and staff by implementing mitigation measures such as social distancing, mask wearing, and contact tracing. The updated plan reflects your pledge, which is posted on the Bensalem School District website, to support the health and well-being of our students and staff by following the social distancing and PPE guidelines as determined by the state and our local health department, the Bucks County Health Department. No one expects you to have vast scientific and medical knowledge, but we expect you to listen to the numerous credible sources available to you, such as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, American Academy of Pediatrics,
Again,
World
be
Health
quiet.
Organization, and the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. These sources consist of scientists, doctors, epidemiologists, infectious disease experts, and leaders in their respective fields. These are people who are actually experiencing COVID firsthand through their work and research. All of the sources mentioned have maintained the position that facial coverings do play a role in reducing the transmission of COVID. They have emphasized the importance of proper ventilation and social distancing. The sources mentioned aim to educate the public in order to slow the spread of COVID and ultimately improve public health. Through aligning with the local source that guides you in your decision making, specifically the Bucks County Health Department, these mitigation measures and the others listed in the proposed plan should be utilized. The board should vote to approve the revisions to the health and safety plan in order to protect the health and safety of the members of the Bensalem School District community. Thank you for your time.
Nikki Baker. I'm sorry, Nikki Baker is waiting outside. Oh, here she is, okay. I was just reading what you wrote on the bottom.
Hi. Nikki Baker, 3983 Gloucester Court, Ben Salem. So throughout the health and safety plan discussions, I keep hearing opinions and feelings on masks in school. And I'm here to state no opinions nor feelings belong in a health and safety plan. None. Not mine, not other parents, not even school board members' opinions. Only science and objective verified medical data needs to be considered for a health and safety plan. And that irrefutable information and guidance has been provided for us by the CDC, the AAP, and most recently, our Bucks County Department of Health. All of these authorities have performed the actual research and are experts in the field of medicine. All agree, universal masking in schools, regardless of vaccination status. To quote Ben Salem's district from its website, we pledge to follow social distancing and PPE guidelines as determined by the state and our local health department, Bucks County Department of Health. The PPE guidelines are universal mask wearing in schools, according to BCDOH. In addition to the universal mask, it is imperative the board do approve a health and safety plan that reflects the Bucks County Department of Health updated guidelines on social distancing, quarantine, reporting of COVID positive cases, and contact tracing. Thank you.
Joanna Miller?
I'm Joanne Miller. I live in the Hidden Valley section of Ben Salem. Many people who get up to speak claim to not have any statistics. Well, I have some. I would like to address an article from People magazine that Ms. Fernandez posted on her Facebook page regarding a school district in Florida that reported an increasing number of students being isolated and quarantined for COVID. According to this article, only 2% of the student population of the school district mentioned in the article have been isolated for testing positive, with another 0.5% being quarantined, having been exposed to someone who tested positive, but have not necessarily tested positive themselves. These news outlets mentioned in this article are mostly left-leaning and rely on fear-mongering and sensationalism to increase their readership and ratings. While I am not minimizing the devastating effects COVID has had on our country as a whole, I am a healthcare worker. The numbers just aren't there to justify changing the health and safety plan to mandate masking of all children in the school district. Of all the childhood deaths in this country, only 0.7% have been attributed to COVID. What laws are you citing to enforce unwanted and unnecessary medical devices on our children? What metrics are you using to enforce mandating these unwanted and unnecessary medical devices on our children? All of the government agencies cited in the health and safety plan are only recommending. Parents must have a choice for their children. And if they choose a mask exemption, you must honor it and keep the children in the classroom. It was also mentioned at the school board meeting when the health and safety plan was approved that children are not wearing masks between the hours of 4 p.m. and 9 a.m. And this is mostly true. Only the children whose parents are insisting they wear the masks are actually wearing them. And I wonder, once these parents are out of sight, do these children remove their face coverings? I live in a neighborhood with lots of children. Not one of them wears a mask while they're playing together, running around the neighborhood, riding their bikes, and swimming in each other's pools. They've been playing sports for over a year now, sans masks. COVID is always going to be with us. Let's focus on keeping our children healthy, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Do not revise the health and safety plan to require masks for the children of our district.
Heather Profi? Heather?
We couldn't hear the last name, Kim. I think that's what Mrs. Harder means.
Brophy.
Profi?
Brophy. Yeah, Brophy. That's me. Okay, my name's Heather Brophy. I live at 3300 Neshaminy Boulevard, apartment 114 in Bensalem. This is my fourth time at this school board meeting since this mask nonsense has started. I'm here again to say that I would like the choice that you approved earlier this month to still continue to be mask optional. I understand there are other parents who still feel that a mask is a good thing, but some other parents have seen the science, and we know that these are not good for our kids. An example was last year. The kids went back to school with masks on. You still had infected kids. You still had infected teachers. You texted us, you emailed us all the time that these people were infected. Therefore, some parents are just asking that we have a choice for our kids to not wear the mask. When I was a kid in school, I remember school being a fun place, a place where I could enjoy to come, where I would enjoy my teachers and feel safe. I have to say, I don't feel that way anymore. You have taken a role on that belongs to the parents. I am counting on you to do the right thing for our kids in Bensalem. I know you see a lot of news about kids being in hospitals with COVID, but if you did your research, you would see that the infection rate is low and kids have a great immune system to fighting anything. Here are some questions that you need to ask yourself. Is wearing a mask really going to stop or slow down COVID, where there is a 0.05% infection rate in people under the age of 70? Not to mention, science shows that children have a low infection rate, but also that they actually naturally have a capability of evading the SARS-CoV-2 virus due to the lack of their ACE2 receptors in their nostrils. Also, my last comment, please think of the harm that this mask will do to our kids. Their self-esteem, high levels of carbon dioxide, low levels of oxygen, which can lead to headaches, dizziness, reduced ability to concentrate, low cognitive function, hypercapnia, respiratory failure, and hypoxemia. So what it boils down to is that this virus that has a low rate of infection and death doesn't override my kids' physical and mental health now or in the future. If this was such a pandemic as the media and the president want you to think, then leave me with this thought. Why is the Border Patrol not sitting there giving everyone a vaccine to prevent this virus from spreading all over America? Thank you.
Shaylin Davison. Those are students. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Shaylin Davison, and I live at 1631 Brown Ave, and I go to Cornwalls Elementary, and I was here for the last school board meeting. I just wanted to say today that I think math should be optional, because I really want to go to school, but I really want to go to school because all I have been doing is looking at a computer while the teacher was also wearing a mask. I kept getting distracted and started not enjoying it. People are fighting, saying you should wear a mask or you shouldn't. It is not right to tell people what to do. Now, if we make masks optional, everyone has the choice and freedom of that. I don't want to see anybody fighting. I know it can be hard to deal with this stuff, so just please try hard to make masks optional so me and other kids can and will go to school again.
Jennifer O'Shea.
Hi, I'm Jennifer O'Shea at 1631 Brown Ave. I'm here tonight for the right for people to choose. If you want to go maskless, then that's your God-given right. If you want to mask up, that's also your God-given right. Masks don't work. The virus is so small that it goes right through them. Not to mention the emotional damage it's having on our babies. Whatever happened to my body, my choice, or that only works for a certain crowd, but not for this. Other parents are so quick to name call some of us, anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, conspiracy theorists, and I've seen it on Facebook with my own eyes. Their name calling is childish and sad. Also, I have seen many of these people who are saying such things, who are especially pushing to mask all of our children all day, maskless all through the summer. I have seen you and your children in lines for rides at the boardwalk, theme parks, shows, and other places, along with no social distancing whatsoever. I know who you are. I have seen it with my own eyes. How can you sleep at night while living so hypocritically? It was okay all summer, but now it's not. Because of what? Your fear? Your fear does not take away our God-given rights to be free people. That includes breathing freely. You do you, and the rest of us will do us. Also, I would like to say that if you're going to mask the kids, you're going to offer the cyber school. My kids still want to be with their classmates. I really wish that would be an option still, because if you do pass that they are masking, my kids will not be attending in person. It is not right. They want to be with their classmates. My daughter wants to leave the 6th grade at Cornwell's with her classmates. If that's a no as well, then that's just another punch in the gut to our kids. Unmask our children. God bless America. Thank you.
Annabelle Kaminsky.
Oh my Jesus Christ. All right. Sorry, I don't know what to do. Okay. It down? Push it down. All right, okay. Okay. 5764 Corsair Court. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm freezing up because I was not ready for this shit. All right. Damn it. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm nervous, Jesus. Okay. Help me. All right. Oh my God. All right. Why you? What? No. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the fabric material mask can be itchy and it can get really hot sometimes, and the straps can cause your sore ears, and you can't see your friends anymore. But here's the thing, you know. Oh my Jesus Christ! I'm gonna die. Help me. Okay. I'm not good. I'm embarrassing myself. This is why I didn't want to do this. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. Masks are a great alternative to the vaccine since most of the school is under the age of 12 and you have to be at least 12 to get the COVID vaccine. And if there's an outbreak of COVID, the school will shut down and students will have to miss school to 50 remote. This school's my last year at Valley, and I'm hoping I can end on a good note because all my friends are in my class this year and I don't want to lose this opportunity to be with them. But, all right. And I don't want anyone's family or my family to get sick. No one does. Since most kids at the school probably have elderly family members, if the students give it to their older family members, the immune system is a lot weaker than ours, and it can lead to death. I just don't understand why we can't, just put on a piece of fabric. I don't know, man. I just embarrassed myself. I'm gonna... Bro, what was that? What the hell was that? You did good.
Ken Prouse.
Hi everyone, my name is Ken Prouse. I live at 2368 Bowman Avenue. I'm a Bensalem resident, obviously. This basically is what I'm going to read is a direct quote from the school board website. So I quote, "The school board members and the district administrators believe that public education is a fundamental part of democratic society. We welcome community involvement and appreciate those residents who provide valuable input on matters affecting the welfare of the students." So let's reiterate and break it down. Okay. The school board and district administration, that would be you guys, okay, believe that public education is a fundamental part of democratic society. So education is extremely important to society, which is something I believe everybody here agrees upon, okay? So we welcome community involvement. So everyone here tonight, we are the community. So we welcome you guys. You guys are welcome to be here. So we appreciate those residents who provide valuable input on matters affecting the welfare of our students. So as your elected board members, value what we have to say. So to hold that true as a community, we're saying with great value, we want the right to decide or choose or recommend, whatever language you prefer, the right to not make our mask mandated on our children, to give us the choice, the option to raise our children how we feel. So take a look around right now in this room right now. There's a mix of people, masked, unmasked, people in one room for multiple hours, because we're going to be here for multiple hours, I'm assuming. There's a lot of people that want to speak. So multiple hours, we're in a mixed room, mask, no mask. Some of these people are adults, some are children. They've used their choice of mask or not mask tonight, as you guys as well. So to each person, they can choose what they want to do. Why can't our children be masked or unmasked or mixed, masked, non-masked, vaccine back for multiple hours in one classroom at a time, as we are all right now for the next few hours? Just asking. I don't know why the children are different. As they catch it less, they spread it less. There's never been one contact trace from a student to a teacher. It never happens. It's impossible. If you look it up, prove me wrong. So I'm asking you as a board, what are you going to leave tonight with your legacy? What are you leaving for the children? Are you going to give them the choice, or are you going to take our voices away? Because if you went for a vote throughout the whole district, I'm pretty certain, I probably put it on there, the majority would speak for choice for your own student. Your own child, a choice. That's all we're asking for. Thank you.
Joe Pettyjohn.
Hello, I'm Joe Pettyjohn of Bromley Court, Bensalem. A couple takeaways from our last meeting. I was here, made public comment. One was the importance of following conscience, and the other was that we're at the mercy of the higher-ups. I can tell you as a veteran of the United States Air Force, I will never be at the mercy of the higher-ups. That's not going to happen. However, I am the product of public school, and perhaps my recollection of what was taught is a little different. It was Thoreau who said people of conscience will more often find themselves in opposition to government, not in compliance and adherence, in opposition. There's a reason for that. So I'm sure that Thoreau's not taught these days because the higher-ups probably won't allow it. So when you consider the mortality rate in 2020 was consistent with the last 10 years, and when you consider kids' recovery rate from this so-called deadly virus is extremely high at 99.9 something %, and think a mask mandate is needed, is that your conscience? When you consider your likelihood to be hospitalized increases 3 times if you're overweight, and the average American gained 25 pounds during the lockdown, but let's abuse the kids, is that your conscience? When you consider the expectation that you take any accountability for your own health is 0, but let us mask the kids for our own irresponsibility, is that your conscience? When you consider that this one and that one will stand up with contradicting facts to cloud what's actually real, don't you think that's intentional? Is that your conscience? When you consider the hospitals have admitted to inflating COVID data for monetary gain, but the right course of action is to continue to abuse our children, is that your conscience? All this data, all this science, all this contradiction, all these lies of a failed government, open unvaccinated borders and evacuees from Afghanistan now, don't think for 1 second, don't you even think. Because when men yield the privilege of thinking, the last shadow of liberty quits the horizon. Thomas Paine, common sense. That's what I was educated on. You see, I'm not led by a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. If conditioning our kids to fear, comply or else sits well with your conscience, subjecting little ones to psychological, mental, and physical abuse with a mask sits well with your conscience, you don't have to worry about my forgiveness. God will never forgive you. Thank you.
Misty Pettyjohn.
Misty Pettyjohn, 1110 Bromley Court, Bensalem. I'm not going to be as good as my husband, but geez. First off, I'm going to say thank you to you guys, and thanks for hearing our 3-minute comment. And I know it's not easy for you or the parents, and it's hard to make anyone happy in this situation. But First thing I will say is that masking your child should be a parent's choice. Again, masking your child should be parent's choice. I want to put ourselves in a 5-year-old's shoes, going to kindergarten for the first time. Some of these kids went to preschool 2 or 3 times a week. Other ones stayed home with mom and dad, whoever. They're entering a big building. They're all day there. They're scared. Some of them have anxiety. I dealt with that with my youngest one. He had such bad separation anxiety that he refused to go to school. I had to carry him into cars. I had to carry him to the building. Thank God for his kindergarten teacher and the counselor at Struble. He did so well. But other kids at this time won't. They look around the classroom and they see mask. They don't look and see another classmate, give them that smile or that reassurance, or that they know that they have the same kind of feeling on their face that they're scared. All they see is mask and eyes. And their teacher, all they see is mask. How does that make the kid feel? Then you get the kids that go into kindergarten who aren't on a good reading level. There's all different levels of reading. I volunteered when my son was younger 2 or 3 times a week. I saw kids that were on a 2nd and 3rd grade reading level. Other ones couldn't read a sentence. So now you have these kids that can't read, going in, trying to learn from a teacher that is masked up. How can you understand words, pronunciation, letters without seeing the teacher's mouth move and also your tongue? You need to see that. That is visual. How is a kid learning how to read, how to write words, seeing a teacher with the mask on? I don't get it. Please, someone tell me. So then you have another year of failed education, another year of emotional stress. Is the school ready for that? Do we have the funds for this again? And I hear parents say, little Johnny can wear a mask 8 hours a day. It doesn't bother him. Well, guess what? Not everyone's like that. Some kids have health issues. And I know also there's talk of, if somebody gets sick without a mask on, there's going to be a lawsuit for, they get sick. What about the kids with the mask on that could fall, that, in gym class are wearing a mask, they fall injured, there you go. Or health issues, they can't breathe. They have asthma, they have headaches. There's going to be a lot of things to deal with. And lastly, really quick, you do not have the authority. There's no school code that says you can mandate a medical device on the kids. You can't mandate anything.
Andrea Galzarano.
Hello, I'm Andrea Galzarano. I live in Ben Salem. I just want to point out one observation. Not one of you were masked 2 weeks ago when we were here. Not one of you were masked to Q&A. You have your own reasons. You have your own choice. That is why we are here. The fact that we are here once again discussing putting masks on our children just proves our point. Not one of you is doing your own research. With the exception of Mark Cohen, none of you have listened to any of the facts or the data that was given at the last meeting. You are simply following the guidance from the CDC as you have been instructed to do so. Do any of you acknowledge that Dr. Fauci and others enforcing these mandates has flip-flopped so many times on mask guidance, herd immunity, the effectiveness of vaccines and masking? They can't get their story straight. They can't get their story straight because they're lying. The facts keep changing. When you tell the truth, the facts don't change. We have stated before, and even the CDC confirms, that children are at a very low risk from this virus. And again, a virus that we all have a 99.997% of survival rate. Children may end up being among the greatest casualty of this COVID pandemic, not because of a virus, but due to the restrictions placed upon them over the last year and a half, which have interrupted mental, social, and emotional development in unprecedented ways. There is no state of emergency. There is no mask mandate. There is simply a recommendation. No one has the right to tell me, my children, or anyone else in this room how to manage our own health. Not even the government. As we have said before, today it's masks, tomorrow it's the vaccine. Where does it end? Are you aware of what's happening in Australia? If you don't, I urge you to do some research. They started with masks, vaccines, all recommended. Australia has over an 80% vaccination rate of its population, yet they're now in complete lockdown. Can't leave their home, go to work, or go to a hospital unless they have permission. They are forcibly holding people down. Police and child services are removing children from homes. I know most of you think this is just a mask. This is just the beginning.
Stephanie Inselberg.
Hi, Stephanie Inselberg. I'm from the Nottingham section of Ben Salem.
If you could state your address, please.
Can I not? I'm on Morrow Drive.
No, bring it down.
Oh, I don't really want to say my whole address on here.
Just saying, you're going up on your toes to the microphone. Turn the microphone down.
I'm okay. No, not on my toes. I'm good. Is that better though? Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Testing, testing. All right. Morrow Drive in Ben Salem. Last meeting I talked about the chemicals and diseases on the masks and stated my case against the mandate. Today I want to talk about health, since that has gone way out the window along with actual science. So why don't we take the district CARES money and facilitate it into programs on getting healthy and initiate more programs for healthy eating and supplementation? Let's put the money towards asking every student to get a full panel blood work drawn instead of using an invasive medical procedure to determine if someone has an invisible virus. But instead, look at the actual data of the blood work to see where the body's nutritional deficiencies are, and let's get their health up to par. But we better hurry up because the FDA is trying to take 175 supplements off the market to make it so that you have to have a script for it. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not, but a lot of people are having a lot of fighting going on for that. Why? Well, because they need to make money off of healthy people because they see that that's what's working, keeping us healthy. Let's help the kids who are diabetic get off of insulin. We would like to help those in our community achieve optimal health so we can all be accountable for giving back to the community in which we live, love, and serve. I believe, along with so many others, that we are under a medical apartheid, and no one said it better than one of your own on Facebook rant just a few weeks ago. And I quote from Vanessa Woods. I would have preferred if those who wanted to wear a mask could be in one part of the building, while those who did not want to mask could be in another. I'm sure Dr. Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks would be extremely happy with your segregation remarks. If we don't protect our freedoms or our forefathers enshrined in our Constitution, and that we are sovereign citizens of the United States of America, and our bodies are our temple given to us by God, then there's no telling what forms of government overreach lengths they will go to further enslave us to the system. The famous words of Benjamin Franklin, "It is only a republic if you can keep it," and right now we are losing it. This is our time to fight back against this tyranny because the power lies within us, we the people. And we owe this fight to our children and future generations to uphold the laws of the land and not the mandates of the corrupt establishment running and ruining this country and, quite frankly, the entire world. What we have right now is media-induced fear of dying and killing people. Most of us are equally afraid of getting sick from wearing a mask as you are of catching a virus. Most of us are also equally afraid of having an adverse reaction or death caused by a vaccine as you are of catching a virus, being hospitalized, and dying. There are always two sides to everything, and we need to be better than that and stop blaming one train of thought over the other and just learn to take ownership of our own actions and to help each other gain health and keep ourselves out of this terrible situation. That's what a thriving community should be about, not political theater. And you have the audacity to sit here and tell us what we should do with the autonomy of our bodies when we have a DARE program to teach kids not to experiment with drugs. But yet that's all we hear coming out of administration's mouths, that we should break our conscious belief and demean ourselves to lab rats in the name of experimental gene therapy when no one knows the long-term side effects. Well, good thing we know the short term. All you have to do is look at the VAERS report and uncensored social media news and platforms. Thank you.
Christine Madden.
While Ms. Madden's, where Christine's coming up, can I just ask, someone said that there was a problem with the FiOS. Is it working now, everybody? Live stream was good, but FiOS, is it okay? Okay, so we should announce that to the public. Okay. No, there's just people asking. So anybody who's asking, this is not on our cable channel. So it's only on live stream. No, because then people out here can tell other people. I know if the cable, yes, I know. If the cable's not down, they're not going to hear that. I get that. But there are other people who are watching it live stream who are asking for their neighbors. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Nicholas. Okay. So to clarify, it's only live stream. Ms. Madden.
I think that optional will be a perfect option for school, because if parents are that concerned about COVID going to their children in schools, they have the right to put a mask on their children, but we do not. And we want a choice to do that. And we don't want to breathe in our own CO2. We don't want to breathe in our own bacteria. And we just want to go to school and see our friends. That's all we're asking. I really like school, and I like to learn with my friends, and I like to go to lunch, and I like to socialize a lot. The only time I get to do that now is at dance. And I feel that we need more socialization. And if people are really that concerned, they can put a mask. That's why I think that the mask should be optional. Thank you.
Molly Buchanan.
Hi, I'm Molly Buchanan, and I agree with Christine that masks should be optional, along with my mom, Andrea Buchanan. I personally believe that this should happen because not everybody thinks that this is right. Plus, you're breathing in your own chemicals and bacteria back into your own body. That is going to be more damaging than the so-called coronavirus. This thing's not going to do anything to you. It's literally just an invisible thing. The masks aren't doing anything. If you want to wear it, go ahead. But I personally don't think that you should wear one. If you want to, go ahead. But I really want the mask to be optional. I was sitting in the office, like I said last time, and I really did not like it. I was separated from everyone in my classroom while they were upstairs doing all their work together. I really, really felt isolated. Like my two friends right next to me right now. Both of them were virtual and did not get to see any of their friends in the classroom. I just really hope that you guys vote for it to be optional. Thank you.
I just have to commend our students for getting up and speaking. They were here on August 11th. You girls did a phenomenal job. It takes a lot of courage to get up and speak, so you did a great job. Thank you. Chloe Rooney.
Hi, I'm Chloe Rooney. I live at 99 Station Avenue. I'm currently a sophomore at Bensalem High School. Many people may know me or my family members. Being one of 5 children, we have all gone through this school. Me being the last one to go through the school and have to do it through the pandemic, I've seen and learned a lot from it. I've seen that this pandemic has already taken away many opportunities for many of us. No school-wide events, no Friday night football games, no normal dances. I was barely even allowed to talk to my friends at lunch. I understand that this will take time to go back to what we know is normal, but to be able to get there, it should start now. I've been taught by my family that I deserve my choice of freedom. I have been taught by my teachers that I deserve my freedom of choice. I have learned that I deserve to have my freedom to speak up and choose my future. When talking about whether or not students should be forced to wear masks, that is you deciding to take away their choice of freedom. I feel as if I am able to decide for myself how I face the circumstances that we are in. I live in a house with 2 nurses, one being my own mother. Being that she was working through this pandemic while we were shut down, she was able to teach me everything I need to know about our current situation. Being able to make those choices on my own of whether or not to wear a mask is important to my freedom of choice. I don't want to be isolated anymore because of what the public expects me to do or force me to do. I don't want to feel like I have to give up my high school life to do something I am well educated about. Normal high school experience start with being able to talk to my fellow peers and make new connections with them. I was not able to partake in that because my face was being covered for them to see. When you first look at someone, you notice their smile and how they talk to one another. I felt as if I had to stay silent instead of making that effort to go over to someone and speak to them. Also, being that I wasn't allowed to be close enough to speak to someone with about anything. I feel closed out to the rest of my peers that I see in school every day. I'm well educated in the current circumstances we face and am able to make the smart choice of wearing masks in school or not.
Thank you. Leanne Hart.
Hello, Leanne Hart, 832 Cliff Road. At the meeting on August 11th, all but one board member in attendance voted for masks to be optional. Many of you said that you voted that way because you were following the Bucks County Department of Health, and many of you also said that you were voting to give parents a choice. The Bucks County Department of Health, in addition to the PA Department of Health, the CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and others, strongly recommend universal masking for all students and staff when indoors. Given that no one on this board is an expert in public health, or even a medical doctor for that matter, it only makes sense for you to follow the guidance of the experts in this field. As for parental choice, please don't gaslight us. Your vote to make masks optional doesn't leave parents with any choices to protect their children. Why? Because as it has been reiterated everywhere for the past year and a half, my mask protects you. Your mask protects me. There is no choice in the current health and safety plan for parents who want their children in school and safe. The only choice this plan gives parents is for their student to protect their classmates whose parents can't be bothered to reciprocate. To call that a choice is a slap in the face. Sure, we can enroll our kids in a cyber school, but why should we have to do that when it's in your power to keep these kids safe in our Bensalem schools? And we can all agree that that's the ultimate goal, right? Safe, in-person learning for all students. If you vote against Dr. Lee's amended health and safety plan, you are setting these kids up to deal with remote learning for the third year in a row. We see this happening in school districts across the country. Districts whose boards voted to begin the year without universal masking are quarantining students and staff in such large numbers that they're having to close schools for in-person learning. Is that really what you want to happen here?
Please be quiet. Thank you.
Why are you waiting until children get sick instead of doing everything in your power to prevent them from getting sick in the first place? I'm vaccinated. My daughter is vaccinated. We are at lower risk for contracting and spreading COVID. We are almost entirely protected against the worst outcomes, hospitalization and death. So why am I here asking you to require universal masking in our district? Because this isn't just about me. This is not just about my daughter. It's about protecting everyone in this community as a whole. And I know people will argue that kids who get COVID will recover. But you know what? There are some that will not. This isn't the same strain as last year. It's affecting kids. Are you willing to risk our students like that? Do the kids need to get sick before you act? Even though we see what's happening across this country, even if you are willing to risk the health and safety of our Bensalem students, maybe you care about keeping the kids in school and minimizing learning loss. Because the kids who get COVID and have to quarantine are not only impacted by the effects of the disease, they're impacted academically because of time missed. Keep the kids in the classroom, vote for universal masking. Thank you.
Cindy Citron. Here she is.
Hi, good evening. I'm Cindy Citron, a Bensalem resident and an employee here. I work in the township.
Can you state your address, please?
I live in Springdale, but I don't really feel comfortable giving my home address out. Is that okay?
That's fine. Go ahead.
Thank you. Some people didn't give their address out. I'm not giving my address.
It's fine. Please
I'm
continue.
disappointed to see the number of unmasked people in the room tonight. I thought that the Bucks County Department of Health was following CDC guidelines, and the recommendation is for indoor mask wearing, regardless of vaccination status. As the director of a nursery school in the neighborhood, I wanted to share my experience over the past year since our children have been back in school. I was pretty nervous opening up in August of 2020. I had no idea what to expect. Would the children actually be compliant about wearing masks? These children are from 13 months and up. Would they do hand washing? How about sanitizing, separating from parents at the door, etc.? The answer is a resounding yes. Our youngest twos took a few months to get used to the feeling of wearing a mask, but they came around too. The children don't complain about having to wear the mask. Those that can't, for medical reasons, don't. Those that are still working on getting used to it will eventually come around to it, and they will wear the mask. In fact, they remind their friends and teachers about mask wearing and hand washing all day long. We did have one case of COVID enter our bubble just before Thanksgiving last year. Our mitigation methods kept the virus from spreading through the school, and in fact, only one child got the virus. 2 teachers got the virus, but those teachers work closely with young children, and it makes sense considering the masks are not hermetically sealed to our faces. Aside from that, this has been the healthiest school year that I've had in 30 years in this field of early childhood education. The masks not only mitigate the spread of COVID, they mitigate the spread of many infectious illnesses. I didn't have a strep throat this year. I just had no infections. I had no viruses. I had no flus. I had a very healthy school year. When I heard, When I heard that Bensalem School District has not yet mandated mask wearing for this unvaccinated and vulnerable population, I immediately canceled before and after care availability for Valley students to come to Judy Sayre this year. I recently had a 2.5-year-old student test positive for the virus and then pass it to her 3 vaccinated relatives that she lives with, her mother, her father, and her grandmother. There are breakthrough cases showing up all over the place. An unvaccinated neighbor of mine tested positive and gave it to his 6-week-old infant who needed to be hospitalized. This is a dangerous variant that we need to protect ourselves and our precious children from. Masking works. I've seen it firsthand. I urge the board to vote to protect our children and teachers by voting yes to mandatory masking until more people are vaccinated and the rate of transmission lowers significantly. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Jackie Young.
Hello, everyone. I live on Haneda Court. My name is Jackie Young. I'm a parent of a child that attends Valley Elementary School who is not yet eligible to get vaccinated. I am also a nursery school teacher in Bensalem. It is extremely important to impose a mandate for masks in time for school to start safely. By not doing so, you will run the risk of children getting ill and can possibly even be hospitalized and even be put on a vent. You also take the chances by not doing so, infecting other children, which will spread to our community, and in my case, my daughter brings it home to me, and I am a carrier to one of my little toddlers that their parents entrusted in our care. In my nursery school, we follow all CDC guidelines, and our children wear masks, and with no problem at all. There is never a complaint out of any of them. Last year wasn't perfect for our family. Like many others, we couldn't see our family members. This year, without imposing a mask mandate, puts many families at risk like myself. My mom has cancer with not long to live. By not forcing a mask mandate, the school puts us at risk to her and so many others like her. My family will lose the quality time we so much yearn. Last year in November, I had COVID. I was exposed from one of my nursery school children, and I brought it home to my family and exposed them. It was the most devastating time as a parent, being so sick, yet so scared you couldn't sleep because you were so scared for your child. I watched her sleep. I watched her breathe. I worried every minute of every day as I watched for signs to make sure I didn't have to go to the hospital with her or my husband. Even myself, I did not take care of myself. We all survived, but we know people who didn't. We lost a beloved teacher at our nursery school. No child should have to suffer, whether getting COVID or dealing with loss from COVID. The time is now to vote to protect our kids and our community and do what's right. Please say yes to a mask mandate. Please say yes to contact tracing. Please say yes to add that extra layer of protection to our children, our teachers, and our families. Thank you.
Alexis Wallace.
Hello, I'm Alexis. I live in Eddington. I'm speaking to urge you to support parents' rights to choose whether or not their children wear masks to school. This is a deeply concerning issue amongst our youth and their abilities to perform and excel in their educational environment. The CDC indicates that 4.2 million children have contracted COVID-19 and only 0.008% of those children have died. That's lower than the amount of children who have died from the flu in the 2018-2019 year. And I sent that to the board, all that information, I sent it via email. The death of any child is truly a tragedy, but what about the majority of our children, the 99.9% of children who are not dying from COVID? Let the parents make decisions for their children. I have no problem with my child interacting with other children who wear masks. You know, it's not a problem with me. These are our children. It's our right as parents to choose for our children their medical interventions. I speak for everyone, parents who want to mask their children, parents who don't want to mask their children. It should be our choice as the parents. And that's it.
Albert Rizzadoro.
Albert Risdorfer, 1659 Hollandale Drive. I've been a proud Bensalem resident for 8 years. That ended a year and a half ago. I was born and raised in the city, Philly public school system. Not sure what I got from it. I don't have any facts to support my argument. I'm going to try to keep it free from emotion. I've been noticing everyone, very few of you, have been paying attention to the people standing up here and speaking tonight. How many of you have already made up your minds? I wonder. I'm at a loss for words. Like I said, 8 years I spent being a proud Bensalem resident and taxpayer. That ended a year and a half ago. Who do you people think you are to tell me how I choose to raise my children? No answers? Every single one of you that votes yes on this, I truly believe there's a special place in hell for all of you. You do not reserve the right to take control of my children out of my hands. I'm sure most of you can probably tell I'm very nervous. Yeah? My face is probably red. My blood is boiling. It has been ever since I stepped foot in this building. No answers. No answers? How many of you have already made up your minds? Just like I expected.
Jason Orlana.
Jason Orlana, reside in Bensalem Village. First off, it feels great to exercise our First Amendment today. Unfortunately, during this pandemic, it seems some of our other constitutional rights have been put on pause. For more than a year now, I've kept my kids home and chose remote learning instead of learning in person, because I chose to keep my kids not subjected to wearing a mask all day. This past summer, the people of Pennsylvania voted to restrict the governor's powers, which included mask mandates and business closures, etc. After the vote was passed, like many others, this infringement upon people's rights we thought would have ended. 2 weeks ago, it was passed to make the mask optional, which I think is a fair approach to the people that choose to mask their children, or for the people that choose not to mask their children. Nothing has changed in the past 2 weeks. A CDC study of Georgia schools published in May of this year, it covered more than 90,000 elementary school students in 169 Georgia schools from November 16th to December 11th, which found that COVID-19 infection was 37% less common in schools that required teachers and other staff members to wear a mask. But in the same study, found that requiring students to wear a mask was not associated with a statistically significant reduction in case rates. CDC findings also in this study cast doubt on the impact of many of the most common mitigation measures in American schools. Social distancing, hybrid models, classroom barriers, HEPA filters, and most notably requiring masks were each found not to have a statistically significant benefit. But remember, this all comes down to science. But my question is, when will they stop contradicting everything they say? At first, you needed a mask. You didn't need a mask. Then you needed a mask. A few months ago, masks weren't required in public with a vaccine. Now it's you need a mask, a vaccine, and a vaccine. There's nothing science about what is being said. When it changes from day to day, it sounds more like a hypothesis than facts. It seems to me everyone is willing to give up a little personal freedom for the illusion of safety. People have been so brainwashed that they forget the flu season every year before COVID. Every school year, my kids would be sick within the first 2 weeks of school. They weren't requiring masks then. The stats of children from coronavirus cases resulting in death is 0.03%. Approximately 400 children have died due to COVID since its start. Children are more likely to die from unintentional death, which accounts for 12,175 deaths per year than COVID. Obesity is more of an epidemic among our children, far greater threat than COVID will ever be. Why not push people about boosting their immune system with exercise, eating healthy, and vitamins? That's your body's first line of defense, and not some sweaty, soaked mask that's breeding ground for bacteria. And if masks were so effective, why was so much money spent on other measures like partition dividers and face shields, which were never utilized? It would be unfortunate for my kids and many other students if the school board decides to go back to masking in schools. Just know that come election time,
Cassandra,
Just so, well, I do want to tell you, just so everybody knows, the microphone turns off after your 3 minutes, so we hear you, but it won't be out on live stream.
Cassandra Giorno, Mount Vernon Circle in Bensalem Village. These meetings have been very busy. I hope that weighs heavy on the board's vote. Look at who's been showing up. We're fighting for our rights to choose as parents. No one else should be able to make medical decisions for my kids, but this is where we are. I respect every parent fighting no matter what. That's being a parent. Instead of arguing, we need to come up with a solution together. It's not fair to sit and just yell at the board. By now, you all know how strongly we feel. This isn't just about masks. It's time to decide, where do you draw the line on the school's responsibility? Think about that hard, because any decision you decide to take on comes with blame as well. So if you force masks, you're to blame when any kid gets sick from them, because school's the only place most kids will be wearing it. CDC recommends flu shots, but that's a parent's choice, even though the flu has killed and affected children every year. There's never been masks or extra steps taken to protect our kids. It was our choice to protect our kids. There shouldn't be two sides on this. People want masks, are willing to give up their rights as parents just to get what they want out of fear right now. But what's next? Every parent should be worried about that. It should be a parent's choice. It jumped from masks to vaccine to booster shot. My father's in the hospital right now. You must be fully vaccinated with papers to visit. Doesn't matter if you wear a mask, have antibodies, get a rapid test. There's no other options. I guess masks don't work in their eyes. With all precautions the school added, spending tens of thousands of dollars on dividers, ventilation, air purifiers, and changing how things were done to make it safer. A lot of parents just focused on masks and not anything else, just skimmed over the rest. These were all things you voted and believed were effective to keep everyone safe. If masks are all they're worried about, that's all they need, and everything else was just a big waste of money. Other compromises can be made besides just masks. Put a divider in front of my kids. It's no risk to anyone's health and a layer of protection along with the other things the school has in place. Kids can still choose to wear a mask. It's a win all around. My kids were virtual because the mask made them feel like crap, and there's no way they could learn like that. It's something that makes you feel sick, and it's for a reason. Masks are different for everyone. I'm speaking for my own kids, but I know there's a lot of others that feel the same way. I just want to point out, COVID never went away. People got the vaccine, and even though you can still get it, spread it, people chose not to wear masks. Even after preaching, it's just the masks. It's so easy to wear. That's what anyone that votes tonight to mask our kids is saying, but none of you wore masks all summer. I've seen kids at every meeting. That was our risk and our choice as parents to bring them. So what stopped you from wearing it? Was it just because you didn't have to? I'm not putting anyone down for it. It was your choice and what you thought was best for you, your family. We just want to have the same choice too. The last meeting, we all know who came out to speak,
and who is getting involved and giving insights to help you come up with fair decisions. That's what we elected you for. Dr. Damsker didn't want masks before, and you went against him then. And if they worked, we wouldn't be here making this decision today. If you vote on a mask mandate, I'll be pulling my kids from the district. And any parents out there that want to do the same, let's figure things out together. A lot of us are
Stacy Robson.
Hi, I'm Stacy Robeson. I live in Bensalem on Craig Avenue. I have the pleasure of being a Bensalem resident and teacher here in Bensalem. I've been a teacher here for 13 years, and every school year comes with its challenges, and last year obviously came with huge challenges. Our children, though, and I can only speak from my experience, my classroom, my children rose to the challenge. They thrived in school. If they weren't thriving in school, they didn't say it to me, and they were always participating and having a great time. And I was wearing a mask, and they could tell that I loved them and that I was smiling at them. And I could tell when they were happy or when they were sad. And yeah, wearing a mask, not ideal. No one wants to do it. But I've been wearing my mask, even though I'm vaccinated. I wore it all week this week at professional development. I wore it for my children, and I wore it for my students. My son is highly asthmatic and is prone to croup. And I kept him home until March of 2021 last year, until his mental health just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to outweigh those costs. And he gladly wore that mask so that he could go back to school, and he felt safe at school. He didn't like wearing the mask, and I get it. Most kids don't. Most adults don't. I don't like wearing this thing all day. But if it's going to keep us in school and we're not going to have to go virtual again, teaching through a screen is really hard. It's not fun. It's not I know, I understand. Learning through a screen is not fun. I made it as fun as I could. I would get up and I would dance and we would sing and we would do the things, anything that I could to get those kids excited. And it's not ideal, but this is a virus that is brand new to us. This is ever-changing virus. It was getting better, and then the Delta came. So what's going to come next? Okay?
Please.
What's going to come next? Yeah, maybe
Please,
it will.
Be
okay?
quiet.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude, and I wish that no one would be disrespectful or rude as well. We all have our own opinions, but as a teacher in this district, I see what's going on in the classrooms. My classroom, I have 21 kids this year, and I'm going to embrace it, and we're going to be as safe as we can be, but I'm praying and hoping that we don't have to go virtual again like other districts who have already been in school for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and they're already virtual again because there are too many cases. I don't know if masks are the answer. I'm just saying that we don't want to have to go back to that as teachers. We want to be with our kids, whether anybody believes it or not. Thank you.
Rochelle Porto.
Rochelle Porto, Brandon Court, Bensalem. Thanks again for allowing public comment. So here we are again, and I can't believe that our sovereign rights are over our bodies and our parental rights over our children's lives are being challenged and overruled again by elected people who are not looking at all the science in regard to masking children all day in school. There is evidence that masks can inhibit 20% of oxygen intake, and oxygen is our life source. As I said again last time, 2 weeks ago, God created our world, and only He has dominion over we the people, and we are created in His image, and He created the family unit as the parental guardians over the children. So please say no to this tyrannical governor who is again issuing a mandatory mask mandate in school. It should remain optional. I hear both sides' concerns tonight talking about testing positive. Why is the science of monoclonal antibodies or protocols including doctors who are treating patients using ivermectin and plenty of herbal medicines like vitamin C, vitamin D, why are we not looking at what America's frontline doctors or Dr. Zelensky, who has treated over 6,000 patients and has saved every single one of them using anything, well, herbal medicines, not a vaccine, but he's saving lives. He has the proof. Why are we not looking at those things? These doctors are not collecting taxpayer dollars like the CDC and the NIH or Dr. Fauci, the highest paid, tax-paid citizen in government. These doctors are working tirelessly to save lives sans vaccine. This township and this state needs to look at all the science. In addition to that, a lot of people mentioned the Constitution tonight. The federal government has 17 enumerated powers. One of them is not mask mandating children in school. Have a good night.
Ross Seidman.
Ross Seidman. My address is on the card. I just wanted to say my students, or my kids, fortunately are old enough to have the vaccine. So I'm here to represent the kids under 12 that don't have the option of protecting themselves. The previous plan that you approved was a screen door on a submarine, a Swiss cheese attempt of prevention in the face of the most dangerous, or the most contagious virus we've experienced in generations. If the new plan is not approved tonight, that previous plan will stay in place. It's bad enough not requiring masks, but treating COVID positive cases like the flu adds insult to injury. The hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil plan of no tracing, monitoring, quarantining, or reporting to the county or to the public equates to know no evil. Burying your heads in the sand will not make the problem disappear. The previous health and safety plan is equivalent to the honor system, and unfortunately honor is one of those things running on low supply these days. Over the last week, things have changed. First, the local hospitals told Dr. Damsker that his plan would put their pediatric ICUs in danger of running out of beds. Then the PA Department of Health had to intervene by sending a letter to only one county in all of PA, Bucks County, because it was afraid Bucks County would be putting its students in danger. After those two instances, Dr. Damsker did a complete 180. I don't know about you, but for me, it's awfully striking for Dr. Damsker to have to say, yeah, the local hospitals told me that if we follow my plan, they won't have enough room in their pediatric ICUs. Oops, my bad. Now Dr. Damsker is in line with the experts above him, and the new health and safety plan on the table reflects his new position. The new proposed plan that you are now voting on is a true health and safety plan. This plan was updated yesterday to include the new suggested measures by Dr. Damsker. Throughout the pandemic, the majority of the school board directors followed whatever Dr. Damsker suggested and used that as the basis for how they voted. For them to now vote otherwise would be highly hypocritical. If the school board doesn't vote to approve this, they are now going against the American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, the PA Department of Health, and the Bucks County Department of Health. Are you truly willing to go against federal, state, local, and professional recommendations? At some point, like now, you just have to admit that people more knowledgeable than you know what they are talking about. It's time to knock off this Dunning-Kruger effect nonsense. Making decisions based on the loudest people in a room instead of logic and science is not leadership, it's cowardice. In terms of code, I'm not interested in you pleasing anyone, let alone everyone. I'm interested in you protecting everyone. What happened over the last year, good or bad, is irrelevant to the decisions being made for this upcoming year. Please realize that if you are anti-mask in schools, then by extension you are pro-lockdown and pro-remote school, as that is the likely result of not protecting the kids under 12 from COVID. Here's another way of looking at it. If I and others are wrong, it's merely an annoying inconvenience that we had to endure for a short period of time. If you're wrong, the result is many sick kids and are hospitalized. Which option is the bigger gamble here? Is your pride in politics more important than the health and safety of our youngest students? Please remember that you are beholden to the kids, not their parents, not the voters, not each other, not your bosses, but the
All right, please be quiet. All right, you're over time. Thank you. Sir, all right. All right.
That concludes public comment. We had 26 public comments.
Madam President, before we move to our next step, I I don't know if I missed it in Dr. Lee's report, but I did want to ask, we had requested an update tonight about what other of our local districts are doing. Did you, I don't know if you had got that information, though.
Yes, I can share.
Would you share that before we,
board's
is that
pleasure.
okay, Madam President, that we get that information? Thank you. And I know some are still voting. They're like maybe meeting tonight like us or tomorrow, but just whatever you do know, because a lot of school districts.
Everyone, please, there's no
Um,
shouting, okay? We've had public comment. Go ahead.
It's okay. I don't mind answering. I know. But it does kind of let you know how other people are thinking, and we're all doing our best. Okay.
I will share at the board's request. The Chamonix voted last night for, and this is just confined to masks. The Chamonix voted last night for masks required in K-8, optional in secondary or high school. New Hope, Marsville, Centennial, Bristol Township, Palisades, and Pennsbury, mask required, K-12. Central Bucks is tonight. Quakertown, Bristol Borough, and Council Rock meet tomorrow, and Penridge is optional.
All right. I just wanted to know. It's true. None of what they do doesn't control our vote, but I did want to know because I had heard about Neshaminy did a hybrid, so that's the reason I was curious.
Okay, again, we're not going to have.
Yeah, and to let the public know, the reason the board doesn't respond during this time is because this is not a response time, and that's the reason I did hold a Q&A, and I saw a lot of you there, of course. I did hold a Q&A, and I stood up there for 2.5 hours, right? Everybody's sick of hearing from me, and I answered every question. But unfortunately, during this time, it's not a time to respond.
Okay.
No, you cannot. We're done.
No,
We're
public
done.
comment.
We're done. There's no.
Oh, go. Wait, can we clarify? Do we know, Dr. Lee, do you have the details of what Neshaminy did?
Shouting out from the public, all right?
I believe that's accurate.
Okay.
We're not going to have public shouting from the
All
comments.
right, it's okay. I heard you. I know. It's okay. Wait a minute. I'm going to repeat what you said because I got a mic and you don't. It is true. I'm helping. I know. I do listen all the time. You guys know that. Okay, so Neshaminy did it for 30 days and revisit it?
I'm not sure of the term, but
Okay.
there's a sunset date.
But
on
there's
the
a
plan.
sunset date on it. Okay. So now this way the public can hear it too.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on here.
Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the revised Bensalem Township School District Health and Safety Plan for the 2021-22 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions on the motion? Mrs. Harder, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Rivera, instead of doing what we did last time, I have comments. I'd rather do it now instead of just dragging out the vote as we're going through.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
And can we all do that? I think that makes sense. Can we all do that? No? I know you love to hear me talk, Mrs. Nicholas.
Well, I guess now I have to start off. As far as not responding, Ms. Ferranda's already addressed that. It's because it's public comment. Making up our minds, I'm going to tell you that I've been stressing over this for the last 3 days. Everybody in my house is probably going to cheer when this is over more than anybody sitting on this board. Friends in different states, 2 in different countries are sick and tired of me talking about it. Oh, and before I forget, thank you to everybody who came to speak, especially all of the students. And it was very nice of the 3 of you to get up and offer support, even to, I'm just guessing you didn't know her prior to, so it's good to see everybody helping. Because as you can tell, I'm not one to get up and speak at all, so I probably even sound like I'm nervous. I don't, yes. No, you don't have to stand next to me. I just don't like public speaking, which is ironic, but I'm going through my list. So when it seems like I'm not paying attention, I'm writing stuff down or searching stuff up, so I'm ready to go. I was going to say, hey, I don't get 3 minutes.
I'm pushing that button.
This most recent thing started, so I started doing research. I think my computer at home still has at least 7 tabs open. I've been checking and watching the numbers. I am going to call out, let me get back to the most recent letter. Now I got to find it again. Even under normal circumstances, hospitals in Bucks County have limited ability to treat severe pediatric cases of any type. That is because if you go on and look at the dashboard, there are 15, I did the math, it's not hard, 15 pediatric beds according to the map in the county. No pediatric ICU. So I am calling on all of these hospitals to get your act together for the kids, because there have not been pediatric wings, I know, and we had to take my daughter, it was 2007, because it was when I was first run. They don't have a pediatric department. I had to go, I had to take her over to Holy Redeemer, which was great. They're fabulous. Just have to throw that out there. They were awesome. But that's been for well over 10 years now. She was in kindergarten. She's a sophomore in college now. So hospitals, regardless of the situation, please get yourselves together. If you haven't heard today, Governor Wolf, you don't have to grunt. He was asking today for everyone to come back to Harrisburg to get legislation together to require masks. So I guess kind of in a way, I realize he could only do it for 30 days, but Governor, I'm sure you're listening to our meeting, but it's 20, well, I know it's not that long, but if you want everyone to come back to do this, do what you need to do if it's that important, and have them figure it out in the 21 or 30 days, whatever it is. So, I'm sure he's, sitting at home watching our little meeting, but as you can tell, I'm kind of over all of it. Going through my little, and I just want to clarify that the close contact, it's only if you're masked that you are not a close contact, but yet last school year, you were a close contact even if you were masked. All right, I'm just going to leave that one out there. As far as the whole political thing, the people that I've been annoying to over the past few days have been on both sides of the political aisle. And to one or two of them, I even said, okay, you need to take the politics out of it. If this had happened in the 80s or 90s, would it still have been handled this way? Like, this whole shutdown, I think, has made a lot of people on both sides, I'm just going to say it, lose their minds. So you need to figure out what you believe and not take a side politically. I didn't even talk to the other board members about what I was going to do, mainly because I didn't know, and I just barely knew before public comment started. So that's all I was going to say, and yes, I probably went over 3 minutes.
It's all right. Any other board members? Ms. Ferrandes?
Okay, so I'm like Mrs. Nicholas. I guess it looks like I'm not paying attention. To the gentleman, I think you're new here, but I too was writing down some stuff different, people were saying. I do appreciate everyone who's come out tonight. Whether I agree with you, don't agree with you, I don't think it matters. I think it's important for everyone to be heard. I'm always the board member who talks back to the public even when I'm not supposed to. Right? I know I do, and she doesn't agree with me. But, I really try to listen. We can't always agree all the time, but I try really hard to listen. So those of you who were here on the 11th or have looked at the school board records know that on August 11th, I did vote for masking optional. And when I did that, those of you who were here heard me say I did it for practical reasons, because I looked around, and I think the lady right there, you quoted me, right? You were quoting me. No one ever does that. You quoted me, okay. I thought somebody got me about Tampa. I'm from Tampa, by the way. So somebody said I didn't know anything about Tampa. I talked to my family there all the time. That wasn't you. Okay, back to my point. So on the 11th, I said for practical reasons, because I was listening, I was looking around the room, and I was like, people aren't going to wear these masks the rest of the time. And I really did not want to turn our classrooms into, as one teacher said to me, turn them into the mask battleground, right? I didn't want classrooms to be the place where some children were arguing with the teachers or I just didn't want that to be in the classroom. And the teachers, I don't think it's fair to ask the teachers to stand there and remember which parent said this and which parent didn't and what do I have to do. That's a big burden. So that's the reason I said no. I no to universal masking, and I supported optional masking. So I do really try very hard to be consistent. So here it's 2 weeks later, right? So what's happened since then? Last week, I think it was August 17th, it was right before the Q&A, Department of Health in Bucks County issued a statement indicating that after a meeting with the Bucks County local hospitals, this was a prepared statement, I suppose, on behalf of Dr. Damsker, that a recommendation had changed to now recommend universal masking. What compelled me about that was at the request of our local hospitals. Personally, because again, I was listening, let me clarify my own masking. I'm not wearing one right now, right? I'm vaccinated, but I have started wearing them in crowds. That's what I did at the Q&A. If you notice, I walked in with it, but I didn't do it on the stage. Last Sunday at church, it was super crowded. I put one on. Last night at Schaefer, I walked with it through the crowds and then took it off where I can distance. Tonight, I removed it, but Mrs. Nicholas is vaccinated, so I'm sitting here with her. The layout of our classrooms, again, I've always got a practical approach. The layout of our classrooms, they're super tight, especially some of the ones with pods. The kids are really close. I know most parents aren't there during the school day. Some of you are, a lot of you volunteer, so you have seen it, but some of the classrooms are just they're tight. So we have to vote on something, despite what I personally have chose to do. Whether we like it or not, the 9 people here and the 2 on the screen join us remotely, we have to vote on something for everyone, okay? We have to do that all the time, right? It's hard to go to the grocery store because we're voting on some rule that applies to everyone, and some people like it, some people don't. I'm not saying every rule is equivalent to this, but I'm just giving as an example. So at this point, because I have to cast a vote, I have our federal, state, and now our local health department saying we need to have universal masking, asking us to do that. They're making a recommendation, asking us to do it. I do agree with Mrs. Nicholas and probably all of my colleagues. I can't believe local school boards, the buck is being passed down to us. And that, no matter who you agree with, this is ridiculous. There's not a doctor up here, but yet here we are. And, we're your neighbors, right? So if you're, excuse me, if you're upset with us, we got to go to the grocery store with you. People in Harrisburg, people up in Doylestown, they don't have to. So here they are, laying it at our door. People wishing there's a special place in hell for us. We're still your neighbors. And I listen to all of you. Sometimes you guys, what that? Wait, it's my turn. Okay, I'm sorry if you didn't get a chance to make public comment. And But I'll answer that though. You know, we still have to live with you. You have to live with us. And sometimes I vote one way and people are like applauding me. Where's Ms. Madden? Mrs. Madden came up to me on the corner of the high school and hugged me at the beginning for my vote. I know, I wasn't supposed to share that. That was way back. She liked my vote on about how we should conduct school. All right. Well, you gave me a hug, Mrs. Madden. You know you did. Okay. And sometimes people don't like my vote, okay? And that's going to be the same with every one of us. One of our former board members, Kevin McKay, who was on the board, he's a Republican board member, he posted something really nice. You know, no matter what happens tonight, we have got a very hard job. And we all live here. So we're doing this, whatever we're doing. So cut us a little break. Because we're all doing the best we can. Even those people tonight who may vote, and I don't agree with their vote. We're trying, okay? I guarantee you this is not an easy job. None of us signed up for this, okay? So what I said, thought that on August 11th, I was really concerned that people, without Dr. Damsker, I didn't flush it all out, but without Dr. Damsker's recommendation, that people, not enough people in our community would comply. All right, well, he's out here. He has finally said it. I haven't heard him personally. I can only rely on his statement. I don't know the man. So I'm hoping that at this point, you can tell the way I'm going to vote when we get to that. I am hoping that enough people in our community, even though they don't like masking, I don't like it either, and neither do my kids, that enough people who have said all along, follow Dr. Damsker, will encourage their children just to go to school and do what we got to do. I'm hopeful this won't last for long. And that's all I got to say.
Is there any other board members that want to speak? How about our board members by? Okay.
I would like to speak. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, but I would like to make a statement upon my vote. But for the moment, I just want to say thank you all for being there tonight and for speaking up. I apologize that I cannot be with you in person. I'm on an annual family vacation out of town. So thank you all for taking the time to come out tonight, and I look forward to making a statement upon my vote. Thank you.
Any other comments at this time?
Yeah, I'll go.
You sound so thrilled
I
to
know,
speak.
I know. So, all right, no one's going to be surprised at my vote. We sat here and we listened to you, and I appreciate you being out. And for everybody who disagrees with you, somebody said, look who came out tonight. Yeah, you're right. Because the people who really felt passionately about this, who could come, did. People who I agree with, people who I don't agree with. And shame on the people who could have been here to state how they felt, who didn't come. Unless they had a valid excuse not to, shame on them for not coming. Because this is everyone's opportunity to say what's on your mind. And even if I don't agree with you, I'm glad you came out and you said what you had to say. I've been in your shoes before I was up here. It's why I got up here, because I didn't like what I heard. So I came up, and my positions may not be in line with yours, but I can appreciate you coming out. I would like to voice a grudge with the following people. Bear with me. President Joe Biden, Governor Tom Wolf, the entire PA legislature, the entire U.S. Congress and Senate, the commissioners up in Bucks County, all three of them, no exceptions. Shame on them for laying this at our doorstep. I am a lawyer. I deal with family law. I'm not a medical professional. I am not an expert. I couldn't tell you about, I can read all the articles. I could come in with the facts that I believe are true. But this isn't what I do. And I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I do. Now, you guys know me. You've been watching. I could go into some of the things that people said that were about me, but I'm not going to do that because we could sit here and we could bicker all night. And frankly, I don't want to bicker with you. Stephanie said it best. You're my neighbor. Somebody came up here, lives in my neighborhood. I'm just a few doors down from Kim. We don't agree about probably about 80% of the things that go on up here, but when I see her on my street, you know I say hi. I ask her how her son's doing because we're all people in this community. And what I'm actually really concerned about tonight is not just COVID, but the way we are treating each other. Good for you guys for getting up here and supporting somebody you didn't know. Because what you did, you got up, it didn't matter what she had to say, she didn't agree with you, but you got up and you stood next to her. And that's the right thing to do. And we should all emulate your behavior. All of us are guilty, myself included. We get mad at each other when we disagree. We say things that we probably shouldn't say in anger. And it's the wrong way to be. You guys know I'm going to vote for universal masking. You know I will. But I really hope that when we turn this horrible corner that we're on, because it's horrible for all of us. I don't want to be up here wearing a mask. I hate this thing. My kids hate them. But we still have to live with each other. And I'm sorry for those of you who don't agree. I am. I'm just trying to do the best job that I can with the information that I have. And just because I believe differently than you, it doesn't make me a bad person. I'm just doing the best I can up here, and I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate your advocacy. Thank you.
I wanted to say real quick, I do want to respond to that. You asked for a poll. All I can tell you, in terms of of all the people who have come out, plus all the people who have emailed it, it's probably about 50-50. Well, you haven't seen our emails, so, and the petitions. So I did want to answer your question.
Is there any other board members that want to speak?
Sure, I'd like to go next. I have two questions first of the audience, and I'm hoping that they will email me because 100 and 200 people have. So you do have all emails. First of all, two questions. This up, but I'd like to know which hospitals are.
Heather, look into you either have to move your mic or look into it because you're going in and out.
Which hospital? Well, I was asking Mr. Pettijohn and back. Which hospitals are making more money off of COVID? And okay, I'd like to. Okay, give us some data. Give us some data.
Not now. You can't now.
Why aren't those hospitals?
It was a rhetorical. You can't.
No, you can't.
All right.
Okay, cite me the data. I just ask you to send it to me. That's all. I don't know. I just asked you to send it to me. You don't have to talk now. I ask you to send it to me. Emails. Okay, isn't the next one isn't ivermectin a cat?
I'm sorry,
Heather, you're going.
I'm sorry. Isn't ivermectin a cattle dewormer? I'm pressing it. I don't know what to tell you. The light's green.
Just go.
Ivermectin, isn't it a cattle dewormer? I email it to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Our pledge in the beginning was to follow the science. The science changes because they learn new things. You can understand that as they do research and as different viruses come and go, they learn new things. And so that's why the science changes. Any nurse would know that. So I'm worried. I'm just very concerned that people don't know that. I think it's hypocritical if we don't follow the recommendation simply because we said we would, and we need to keep our promise. We need to keep our word. If we don't keep our word, then who will ever believe us again? Then also, people have talked about the fear, and they've emailed me and said, don't give in to the fear. Well, if 600,000 plus people don't cause you concern, I don't know what would, because that's how many people have died or more from COVID. Okay, this is not a discussion. It's also,
Mrs. Snyder is a principal of many years, so think of her as your principal.
listen,
She's going to say it's not a discussion. So come on, guys, come on.
I am also your neighbor. I've been here for 36 years. So for the man who said I wasn't listening, and I don't know who that was, I've listened to everything tonight. And I always will listen to this community. And I may not agree with you. You may not agree with me. That's the way it works. Now let's talk about masks and bacteria. If you washed your mask every day, I do. I heard that. Yes. Soap and water work wonders. You're supposed to wash that. Somebody said on the 11th that they sent their mask, somebody sent their mask to the University of Florida. Not a great place to send things right now, but University of Florida lab. And okay, well, why aren't those masks washed every day? Or used disposable? Nobody said that. Nobody said that. And if you wear a mask every day,
if everyone could please be quiet and let the board member speak. And
masks are just one layer of protection. They are not perfect. They are not the end all and be all of stopping COVID, but they are one layer of protection. And wouldn't we want to, excuse me, wouldn't we want,
all right, please let her speak.
I'm sorry, I'm not, pardon me?
I said that they protected children last school season when they came home and they had COVID from wearing the mask all day. Were they protected then? Answer that question.
Excuse me, this is not a Q&A.
This is not a Q&A. This is not.
And guys, come on.
All right.
I stood up for all of you. I stood up for all of you about getting a chance to speak. You all remember when I did that, right?
So you know what my vote
You got to
will
be quiet while it's someone else's turn.
I apologize if I don't agree with you. I would like to discuss with anybody quietly and politely anytime. You can email me. You can meet me. I'd be happy to do that. I have done that for 36 years.
Is there any other board member that would like to make a comment before they speak?
Yeah, I'll go. First thing that I wanted to say is I've never been more proud as a mental health professional as I was tonight when you three girls got up and you stood by that other little girl and she didn't say the same things that you said. She didn't feel the same way, but you still made her feel seen and validated and noticed. I'm going to try really hard to not get emotional about that. But if anybody is really paying attention to the mental health statistics right now, it is alarming. We are over capacity to be able to deal with the amount of kids that are coming to us. So you three give me a lot of hope for our future and for this community. And I want to personally thank each and every one of you. That's amazing. The next piece is, you know, I've literally spoken with so many different people because while a lot of people think it is about politics, and sometimes it is, I'm not going to disagree with that. Sometimes it's about politics. But I think I can tell you, for me personally, I can't speak for everyone else. I've had conversations with people from both sides, and I understand logic from both sides. I think there is some validity to what everyone has to say. I think when we talk about the decisions that are made, I know one person made the comment that, you know, we come in already prepared with our answers, and sometimes that's accurate and sometimes that's not. But I can tell you for this vote, many of us across the aisle have had many conversations. It looks like we just show up and we make a vote, but I can assure you there are many hours that you guys don't see that we spend in deliberation. This is a volunteer job, and we take it very seriously. We do not receive one single penny for sitting here. We do it because we want to, and we do it proudly. We proudly choose to try and represent Bensalem. Every single person sitting up here has their own constituents that they answer to. Everybody has their own constituents that, you know, voted them in office. But when we sit here around this table, we may not all agree, but the one thing that we all do agree on is that the most important thing is the kids. And sometimes we get it right and sometimes we don't. This is one of those situations where everyone will not be happy, but it is not coming from a place of misinformation on my end or my colleagues' ends. I'm sure everybody has some sort of resource, some sort of guidance that they're looking at, right? This is not an easy decision by any means. I don't make this decision lightheartedly. I think we are all doing the best that we can with the information that we have. I wish I can go and do my own data research in the hospitals and with people. I can't do that. I'm not a researcher. That is not my calling in life. You don't want me to be a researcher, right? But what I'm saying to you is we have to be able to trust some form of knowledge. None of us has gone in and done the research. Looking things up on Google is not doing research. There is a lot that goes into making these decisions, and we don't do that lightheartedly. So I just ask you, regardless of your opinion, regardless of how you feel about this, that you would at least extend some grace to this board, because we are all doing the best that we can. And you might always believe it, and it might not always feel like it, but I can assure you there are many, many hours that are unaccounted for that you all don't see, that we spend talking, researching, advocating for change. So I truly do hope that you all walk away here with feeling like there's been a lot of thought put into this decision.
Any other board members that want to speak prior to the vote? You can make a comment when we come around for you to cast your vote.
Eric, you want to go?
No, he's saying, no. I just want to thank my colleagues for Zooming in. Thank you for taking time away from your families. Some of you are on vacation. Thank you for being so dedicated. We appreciate it. At this time, we'll have a roll call vote. Mrs. Harder?
Thank you. Ms. Woods?
Aye.
Mrs. Nicholas?
Nay.
Mrs. Ferrandez?
Aye.
Mr. Price?
Nay.
Mrs. Snyder?
Aye.
Mr. Cohen?
Nay.
Ms. Fingles?
Aye.
Ms. Benitez?
I would like to make a statement before my vote. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. If not now, when? When will fear end and freedom begin? When will we begin paying attention to the real risks that our children are facing today? The reality is the risks of a continued lack of social development, lack of emotional stability, and loss of fair and equitable education are greater than that of COVID in children. Where do we draw the line? When do we start to take back our freedom and say no? What will be next? Forced vaccinations voted upon by local volunteer elected officials? Testing for common viruses and denying children access to school on short terms due to ongoing quarantine guidelines based on test results? Are we now a medical facility making medical decisions for children without the direct consent of parents? Federal, state, and county officials are recommending, not requiring, not mandating these guidelines. We can take our children to the grocery store, restaurants, and large gatherings without masks, but they can't sit in their classrooms with their friends and focus on their education. This is not fair treatment of our children. Healthy children who are now treating each other like a walking virus, who are being isolated, unable to make new friends, who have not had fair or equitable access to education since March of 2020, seem not to have a voice in these matters. I will be their voice and the voice of many parents who demand the right to make medical decisions for their children. Let me be clear. This virus, while new to us, is now being compared to the flu by health officials. Does that mean that masks will never go away? The flu isn't going away. COVID isn't going away. But the losses our children are suffering from COVID guidance is far greater than the risk of the virus itself. As a local elected official, I do not feel that I should have the authority to make personal medical decisions for children and their families. Consent on behalf of others is not my decision to make. It's a personal choice not within my control. In this seat, my job is to speak on behalf of the majority of people in our community. People must be given the power to choose. And so tonight I vote nay, as I believe parents are responsible for making such decisions on behalf of their children. Progress is the answer. If not now, when?
Mr. Ferrer.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and speaking. We heard you. We heard masking, not masking. It's a tough decision. I've agonized over it. I tried to put myself in what would I do if my child was attending school. But deep down in, I got to vote with my heart. I got to vote with my heart. And I believe that I don't have the authority to tell parents what to do with their children. I want somebody to tell me what to do with my child. And I think that it's a parent's choice. It's a parent's choice to vaccinate their child, not to vaccinate their child, mask their child, not to mask their child. So with that being said, I vote nay.
Madam President, I need to be excused. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight once again.
Thanks, Michelle. I didn't make a comment, but I really should. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Thanks for your emails and everything. And I voted nay because I just believe in choice. I believe everybody should have a choice. That's.
Is there any point in entertaining an amended health and safety plan, Mrs. Nicholas? For K through 6?
Well, at this moment, I'd have to say no, and it can't be just sixth grade, because if you're looking at the ages, you do have some seventh graders that would also be under the age of 12. If that's, that's just from teaching middle school. I know that's...
No, I understand that, but I mean, is there any, so you're saying not to bother? You know,
on another note, though, Michelle is off, so her vote's not even here to be heard.
Michelle chose to leave, Eric. That's
Mrs. Nicholas, we're all Eric. I mean, even Mrs. Nicholas is saying this. If an amendment comes up, if you choose to leave the meeting, that's your choice.
That's just. I mean,
But
Her choice.
if we should have one, we've got a lot more.
I'm not
We've got a
I'm
lot
not
of other
saying it's
votes to
happening.
do
I'm
tonight
asking
too.
if there's any point in trying. Okay.
I did want to ask a question also, not about the health and safety plan, but related. Dr. Lee, I know your presentation said that, and I was going to ask this regardless of how the vote went. Your presentation said the only remote option is going to remain cyber, our cyber school, which, all right, let me give you a plug. We have a wonderful cyber school. If anybody wants it. In school's better, no question. But there are people who really, COVID, not COVID, prefer cyber. So just giving a plug. But at any rate, is there going to be any possibility?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Is there going to be any possibility of returning to some type of remote instruction like we had during the 2021 school year? I think it might be something we need to look at for a number of reasons. Again, no matter how this vote came out.
It's not currently an option.
Maybe since myself, Mrs. Snyder, Mrs. Nicholas are on the Instructional Affairs Committee, though, we might need to talk about it. We have our next meeting in a couple of weeks.
I do want to put out there, and I've said it before, last year was an exception. In all good conscience, I will not agree with having teachers teach online and in the classroom at the same time. So I'm just putting that, it was awful. We had to.
Isn't that what Mrs.
That is what I'm asking about. But there were other ways to do it. If you had a whole third grade class, a whole group of third graders who wanted for some reason to be remote. I mean, there's, who wanted to be in the same class together. There are ways to do it. So I just think we should visit it. We talk about a lot of things in instructional affairs. So I'd like to add that to the agenda. Thanks. Yeah, because it can come in a lot of different varieties, and it can be live and, again, different varieties without disrupting other classrooms.
Are you finished, Mrs. Francis? Okay, you're welcome. Okay, we'll move into the consent agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the following consent agenda items. Secretary minutes, items H1 through 5. Treasurer's report, item I1. Instructional affair, items M1 through 7. Business affairs, items N1 through 25. And personnel items O2 through 5.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
I don't have a question. I just want to point out that the face covering policy is back again. But there is wording in here. It's going to be an active policy, but it's tied to the health and safety plan and
Right.
what
It's
orders
not-
have been subject to revision from time to time.
Sorry.
We will get to that. It's not on the consent
Oh,
agenda.
you didn't do consent.
Okay.
Michelle asked for it to be pulled out earlier.
I missed that email.
Sorry, guys.
It was
It's
never-
sometimes for the
It was
public.
never in the consent agenda.
Okay. What's on the consent agenda sometimes changes at the last minute. So Mrs. Nicholas thought it was there. It's not. So we'll talk about it later. We're still going to talk about it.
Well,
Optional. It's optional.
So there was well, it's the August 11th plan. For anybody out there in the public, there's a question from the audience. That's correct, right? So now it's the August 11th plan?
Correct. I correct, Dr. Lee? Is that?
Yes, as it stands now.
Okay.
So the two items that Mrs. Nicholas was talking about, I believe that we don't have to vote on them because
Yeah, I would.
Right, right.
There's no need to vote on it given the result of the mass vote.
So is there any other questions on the consent agenda? Okay, we had a second. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstentions?
I don't have don't have a question about it. Oh no, it's listed as an information item. Never mind.
At this time, we'll move into the solicitor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Just the only thing I have to report tonight is the settlement agreement we discussed in executive session, and we're recommending approval as presented in the executive session.
Okay. Is there any questions on, I'm sorry. A motion to approve the settlement agreement and release with student A as reviewed with the board in executive session. Yeah, you need to pay attention.
So moved.
Then we need to separate you. That's what the teacher does.
Okay.
Second.
I did. So moved.
There was. Correct. Is there any questions on the motion?
I don't even know.
All in favor?
Solicitor, right? Yes. Okay.
Against?
All right.
Abstention.
Can we go back for a second? What Mrs. Nicholas and I are being ill-behaved about. Dr. Velasquez, maybe you can look. So under instructional affairs, M9, a change in the grading framework, I thought that was not supposed to be an information item. I thought because if there is going to be a change to the grading framework, it would have to start now to go into, if it's going to be applied for this year, the grades have to start now, and our principals and teachers need to know. We were talking about this. Wasn't that supposed to be on the vote tonight? Because if we don't start it now, then it's for an entirely another year.
This was an informational item. It was not for vote, and it was developed with the principals during the summer, and principals are rolling that out to their teachers. So there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to implement that.
It doesn't require a board vote.
It does not.
Okay, so then for the public, there is going to be kind of a new grading framework, and people can look at that if they want. Thank you.
We'll move into our committee reports. We have no student school board members here. Probably the next meeting, they will be joining us. Standing committees. Instructional affairs, Mrs. Nicholas.
The report is attached.
Thank you. Business affairs, Ms. Woods.
The agenda is attached. I think the only thing that I wanted to follow up, I saw a couple of emails come through. Did we ever get the clearance on the guy to come out and check out the rooftop? Did anybody reach out and connect with him, Mr. Steffi?
I know Mr. Fanini has reached out, and they're trying to schedule the date for that.
They have reached out to the people for the pool?
They have.
Okay, thank you.
I also wanted to ask a follow-up question that came up in the business meeting to see if it's happened. And I cannot see our fine new IT director because his head is directly behind Mr. Cohen.
He learned.
Hello. See, Mr. Brian Cohen often tries to hide, and so you're learning his behavior. I just want to follow up 10th and 11th grade Chromebooks. I know you said your department was ready to go, and you had the new Chromebooks for 10th and 11th because those Chromebooks are just a disaster. I'm just not telling you, I'm saying for the public. And at the meeting, you said you were coordinating a time with the high school principal to figure out when those were going to be rolled out. And I'm hoping the first week of school, but that's in a couple of days. Do you have any update for us?
Sure. 10th grade are going to be distributed on Monday. And once we flip those and get those, the return Chromebooks back into loaner carts and or kindergarten students' hands, we're going to proceed with the 11th grade schedule after that.
Okay. But you don't have to have all the 10th graders back, do you? Because the 11th graders are in just as bad a condition. So I would hope that, you know how kids are, they'll bring it back, they'll swap it, they won't. So if I could ask, in your discussions with the high school principal, that go ahead and do 11th grade that first week too, and because we don't really need the loaner carts as much. We really need to get those new ones in the hands of both our 10th and 11th graders.
So really, we want to make sure that we get devices available for students as needed. And so collecting more devices up front isn't going to really speed up the process in any real way. So we need to make sure that, we're looking at trying to get devices available to get out to students if needed.
Okay, but what I'm telling you, and I know you're new here, the 10th and 11th graders both need them. So if we could get those out to the 10th and 11th graders both during the first week of school, they have some that, and I'm going to have to speak on behalf of all the 10th and 11th graders I know. Some of them, they don't have keys that work. They'll be doing assignments the first week. So I'm happy, of course, to talk about this later. But I believe both the 10th and 11th graders are students who need them in their hands. So I look forward to talking about this to make sure both 10th and 11th graders get their new ones the first week.
Sure. All students currently have devices that are not end of life. All devices.
No, in fact, they don't. Thank you, sir. But unfortunately, our former IT director explained the 10th, and our records may not be the greatest, so forgive me. The 10th and the 11th graders both have end of life machines. So we really, now actually, the 11th graders may be older, but at any rate, they have the same year machines. So it's very important. They're all end of life. At least that was what was reported to us in business prior to your arrival. So I'm really hopeful we can take care of that because they're the same. Yes, so that means we should do a 10th and 11th together.
Mrs. Ferrandis,
I'll look into it.
I understand your point that you're trying to make, but our IT director's only been with us 3 weeks. We need to give him room to breathe and get.
Oh, I know. That's that's the reason I brought it up at business. And I was just checking up on it. And it is, as I said, I know he's new with us, but that's why I'm sure he doesn't
parents
have.
cutting some slack for us. We
Oh,
need to
I
cut
know.
some slack for our IT director till he gets organized here. And
Well,
gets
but
up
if I'm just providing information, Mrs. Rivera, that
you can do
10th
that-
and
you can do
11th
that
is
in
the same.
private.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be a question. That's okay.
Welcome to the Ben Salem Township School Board. Are you so glad you're here?
I'm absolutely very excited to be here.
Thank you.
Liz, I know you don't know me, but when it comes to this tech for these kids, it's something I'm very passionate about. And I know the 10th and 11th graders have an equal need.
I'm passionate about it as well. That's why I chose to go into this field.
Okay, where were we here?
Can I call him for an appointment?
Personnel committee, please, Mr. Cohen.
Personnel, there was no report. It's pending next month, board meeting.
Thank you.
Although, wait a minute, we have a new assistant principal we need to invite, yes? To congratulate, we're welcoming. Did we not just vote upon that? Yeah, we did. We did have some news. We don't know when she's starting, but we did vote upon it. So for all those kids at the high school who are wondering who their AP is going to be, we have somebody in the pipeline.
Dr. Lee, would you like to speak about that for us, please?
I can. Let me congratulate Dr. Nicole Burke, who will be joining the high school team as soon as she's released from her contract in another district. So congratulations. We're glad you're going to be with us. You've impressed a lot of people before tonight to advance to this point. So, and thanks for your interest in us. By the way, she's a resident as well.
Can you introduce the HR director at one?
Oh, for those of you who have not met her, also our interim HR director is with us tonight, Terry Hintenberger. Thanks, Terry.
I was heading there next.
I do have one thing.
Board-
Mr. Fanini texted me the September 7th, the company's coming out for the pool.
Board policy, Ms. Fingles.
It's really nothing to report. The notes speak for themselves. Just looking forward to getting a lot done coming up in the committee, and that's all.
Thank you. We'll move into the 2 action items listed under the board policy. We do not have to vote on. I'm sorry. We We'll move into our liaison committee reports. I'm so sorry. The Bucks County Technical High School, Ms. Nicholas?
We have a meeting Monday.
Thank you. The Bucks County Technical High School Authority, there's no formal report. The Bucks County IU, Ms. Fingles?
All of the notes from the meeting have been forwarded to Mrs. Harder and are available for the public on our agenda.
Thank you. The Bucks County IU Legislative Committee, Ms. Fingles?
No meeting, no report.
Thank you. The Ben Salem High School Hall of Fame Committee will be meeting in September. We don't meet over the summer. Chartered School Committee, Ms. Nicholas?
I just noticed I sent in a report this time, but you didn't. Okay, I'll forward it again. Well, yeah, I sent it from a different email, so it probably is stuck in somewhere. I'll resend it. But there was some articles that were referenced. The one thing I did want to point out, the schooling of the 150, I think it was 150 students for kindergarten, 40 of them were Ben Salem. And it used to be all Ben Salem residents. So that was just something of note I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of.
Thank you. Co-curricular committee, there's no formal report. We'll be meeting also in September. Community Outreach and Public Relations Committee, Ms. Ferrandez.
I didn't do a formal report because it's all live streamed. It's all there, all 2.5 hours of it. But what, Mr. I answered that question the other night. Right? Is the pool open? Is it not? So anybody? But we talked about a lot of different things, not just pool and masking. Some music programs, some other things. So I encourage people to watch it. And Dr. Lee was there. It was a good night, was it not?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lee.
She's
No, the mics were good with Q&A.
She's alluding to your
My what?
your threatening demeanor with the microphone.
Oh, yes. But our mics were working. It was all good.
It was. It was a good night.
Diversity and Inclusion Committee, Ms. Woods.
No formal report. We met this past Thursday, or last Thursday rather, and we just talked about, our initiatives moving forward. I did want to make a comment, though, on behalf of the committee. I know that I've been receiving a lot of feedback and commentary regarding what the Diversity and Inclusion Committee is about. And I think that there is a lot of misinformation out there. So one of the things that I'm looking to do, Ms. Ferrandez, if you would be so kindly to oblige, is maybe partner with a community outreach committee and host a roundtable so that we can talk about the initiatives that we are spearheading and have the community come out and voice some of their concerns regarding it.
We could do that with the next meeting. We don't have. Do you want to do it with the next PR meeting?
Yeah, we can do that.
Does anybody know? Mrs. Phi, what date is that? I forget. It's my committee. I know I should know. I mean, I know it's the third Wednesday of the month. I mean, what is the date of that? What? Is it going to be the 13th? No, because PR is always the third Wednesday. If it got changed,
Is there a chance it was changed for back to school nights?
I don't know. Not that anyone told me. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, but it's September 13th. Okay, that's okay. Oh, okay, fine. All right, so September, do you think that's too soon? We can do it then. All right, September 13th. Mrs. Fye, if you could reserve the Audion, that seemed to work well there. If you could reserve the Audion at the high school for September 13th, the north one. The next Public Relations Committee will be a community town hall on our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. How's that? All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Can I make a suggestion, please? The next scheduled DEI meeting, unfortunately falls on a school holiday. It's the same week.
So, all right, why don't we combine our committee meetings? How about that? We'll do them. Well, is that okay, Mrs. Fye, Mrs. Harder?
Well,
We'll combine, Madam President. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it is. However, here we go again, advertising meetings, and we got to advertise that we're changing them, right, Mrs. Harder? Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, we have to because it's on a school holiday.
Right.
I mean, there's no change for the PR committee. Yeah, that's not a change for PR, but we have no choice but to move the other one. So I guess we must have missed that at the beginning of the year. So that happens. So there you go. Okay, 13th, DEI and PR. We'll get it together. Town Hall, high school, and North Audion, unless that's already booked for something. Mrs. Fye will let us know. But you'll see the location on the website.
The Wellness Committee, Mr. Cohen?
We did not meet.
The Ben Salem Education Foundation Committee, Mr. Cohen?
We met yesterday. We'll have to send the minutes. A couple things that we did do. We funded a new recording studio at the high school. Also, we've paid for an outdoor chemistry lab. And also for the art department, we purchased funds for paper cutters. And we're hoping to go back to our first Mondays, which of course we didn't do for the year. And usually that brings in about $8,000 for the district. So we're hoping to implement that. We're working on that.
Thank you. Just for the Kids Foundation, Ms. Snyder?
I have a lot of good news and a little bit of worrisome news, but not much. Mr. Douglas has had some surgery and is not able to do all of the back to school nights that he normally does. He does just for the kids every back to school night. That man is a saint. He does every back to school night and hands out literature. However, given that, Brian has jumped in. Brian Cohen has jumped in. PJ Orner has jumped in, and other folks have jumped in to help out at various back to school nights. We have planned. Brian, help me out. Mr. Cohen, Dr. Cohen, please help me out. We have planned another color run. What else have we planned?
We're working on some other options for restaurants and whatnot, that when people go out, they'll be able to take a percentage of that and donate.
I like restaurants.
Yep. Yeah, we've got a few things working that we're trying to figure out. The bowling, right?
The bowling will be back this year instead of it was gone last year, and it will be back this year, and we hope to earn some funds to get in some money into the classrooms. We did get some requests, and we're looking those over, and they are very, very good from what I understand from Mr. Douglas. So we'll see. And I'll give you an update how he does. He has some tough stuff to do. So
Thank you. Ben Salem Township Council School Board Liaison, there's no formal report. Ben Salem Drug and Alcohol Liaison, Mr. Cohen?
There's no report.
Thank you. We'll move into action item number 4 under the committee reports. I'd like to entertain a motion to appoint Heather Snyder to serve as alternate to the Intermediate Unit Joint Board.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against, abstentions.
Thank you to Heather for taking over. I have I have a bunch of conflicts with the upcoming meetings, and I wanted to make sure Ben Salem had a voice and a vote at the table.
Happy to do so.
Ms. Snyder, if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Hoffman in the next couple days.
I would like that. I
the
wouldn't
IU.
know him if I fell over him. Thank you.
We'll move into instructional affairs. It's item 8. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the contract agreement by and between the Ben Sam Township School District and Kristen Curtis, nurse practitioner, for the 2021-22 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Against, abstentions. We will move into item business affairs. Item 26. Deny the request to waive all rental fees for the Hellebake Jewish Outreach Center.
So let me just make a brief comment about this.
So moved.
Second. Heather Nicholas.
Okay, any questions on the motion?
Sorry, Mrs. Harder. Okay, 2 things. So when we reviewed this request, the reason why it's on here like this is, one, this organization wanted to change their classification to a youth group. Under the current guidelines, they do not qualify to be a youth group. And therefore their rate is the same. The second piece is, in terms of consistency, we have denied other requests for other groups all last time. So I think, in the effort to be consistent in our policies and who we approve and who we don't approve, so we're not just picking some people over the others, we really need to, just say, hey, this is our policy, this is our fee schedule, and this is what we're going to do. So that's why it's on here tonight. All of my colleagues weren't here. That's why I wanted to explain that.
And I was hoping to get the waiver for them. It's a nonprofit type of thing, and they've been with us for years. And the cost to the district, they practically clean everything. Yeah.
Any other questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
Abstentions. We'll move into personnel. I believe there's one action item here. It's the first one. Motion to approve retirements, resignations, and terminations.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Aye. I'm abstaining because my husband's listed as a retired bus driver, so I cannot vote on it.
Isn't that like saying you don't want him to retire?
Yeah, it is. Why, I'm still working.
You want to amend this motion to deny his retirement?
I have to say though, he's going to be home doing stuff. He has dinner all ready for me when I come in and things done. So he's a helping husband. The board did meet in executive session prior to Monday night, prior to this meeting. We did, for confidential student matters, employee personnel matters, litigation, and safety and security matters. Upcoming board meetings, September 2nd is Instructional Affairs at 6 p.m. September 9th is the BHS Hall of Fame Committee at 2:30 at the high school office number 1. September 9th is Business Facilities and Technology Committee at 6 p.m. September 13th is Public Relations and Outreach Committee at 6:30. September 14th is Personnel Committee. September 14th is also the Policy Committee. And the Diversity and Inclusion Committee will now be on September 13th with Public Relations. September 20th is the Co-Curricular Committee and Sports Association. And September 22nd is the regular action meeting at 7:30. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.